Before we start, let us have a review first. Let's say we have to evaluate the following. If you were given 2 times 2 times 2, that is the same as 2 raised to 3 or 2 cubed, which is equivalent to 8. Bakit 8? Kasi 2 times 2 is 4 times 2, which is 8. So, if 2 cubed is equal to 8, then the cube root of 8 is equal to 2. Parang baliktaran lang sila. So, let's have another. If we have 3 times 3 times 3, that is equivalent to 3 cubed or 3 raised to 3, which is 27. So, if you are asked for the cube root of 27, then that is 3. Next, if we have 4 times 4 times 4 or 4 cubed, then that is 64. So, if you get the cube root of 64, then that is 4. Next, if we have 5 times 5 times 5, then that is 125. So, the cube root of 125 is 5. And then if we have 10 times 10 times 10, then that is 1,000. So, the cube root of 1,000 is 10. How about if it is variable? Let's say if we have x times x times x, then that is x cubed. X cubed kasi this is raised to 1, raised to 1, raised to 1. And if we are multiplying variables, then we simply add the exponents. Kaya naging x cubed. So if you're asked for the cube root of x cubed, then that is x. Paano po natin makukuha ang cube root ng mas madali kapag variable ang pinag-uusapan? So ang gagawin po is you simply divide the exponent by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. So x or x raised to 1. Then, if we have 2b squared times 2b squared times 2b squared, then that is 8b to the 6th. So, if you get the cube root, the easier way, the cube root of 8 is 2. The cube root of b to the 6 is b squared. Bakit b squared? Kasi 6 divided by 3 is 2. Then, if we have m to the 4 times m to the 4 times m to the 4th, then that is m to the 12. So, the cube root of m to the 12 is m to the 4th. Kasi, you copy m and then you divide the exponent by 3. So, 12 divided by 3 is 4. Kaya, m to the 4th. Then, if we have 3p cubed times 3p cubed times 3p cubed, that is 27p to the 9th. So, if you get the cube root of 27p to the 9, cube root ng 27 ay 3, cube root ng p to the 9, divide the exponent by 3, is p cubed. And then, if you have 4r to the 5th times 4r to the 5th times 4r to the 5th, that is 64r to the 15th. If you get the cube root, then the cube root of 64 is 4. Then the cube root of r to the 15, you copy r and you divide the exponent by 3. So that is 5. Okay, then we proceed. Next, what if we have sum or difference of 2 cubes na? So, una, kailan natin masasabi na difference or sum ng 2 cubes yan? First, it should be a binomial. Dalawang terms dapat. Next, each term should be a cube. Sabihan, perfect cube yung unang term, perfect cube din yung pangalawang term. Okay? Katulad nito, a cube, this is a perfect cube. B cube is also a perfect cube. This is a binomial. And it could be plus, it could be minus. Kasi it could be sum, it could be difference. So, if we are going to look back nung ating grade 7, pag kumukuha tayo ng special product nito, ang naging result natin ay ito. This time, baliktad. Ang ibibigay sa atin ay itong naka-cube. Ang magiging factors natin ay ito. So, ito yung ating pattern na susundin. Pabaliktad lang. Okay? So, tingnan natin. Ito yung steps. Pero, syempre, kaysa gawin natin yung, basahin natin yung steps na yan, gawin natin with an example. Kasi mas maiintindihan siya kung tayo ay nasa example. The first one. 64m cubed minus 125n cubed. Here's how it goes. Step 1. You get the cube root of the first term. The cube root of 64 is 4. And the cube root of m cube is m. Ulitin ko, when we're getting the cube root of a variable, you divide the exponent by 3. So, 3 divided by 3 is 1, so m raised to 1 lang, or simply m. Therefore, the cube root of 64m cube is 4m. Next, copy the operation minus. Then, we get the cube root of the second term. The cube root of 125 is 5. And the cube root of n cube is n. Kaya, we have 5n. Now, after getting the cube roots of the first and the second term, we get the other factor. So, the first factor will be like this. Yung ating unang cube root na 4m, i-square mo. Square. So, 4 squared or 4 times 4 is 16. And then, m squared. The square of m is m squared. Ulit, kunin ang first nating cube root at kunin ang square niya. Sunod, yung ating operation, you have to get the opposite. So, kung minus yan, ang ilalagay ko dito ay plus. Then, next step, multiply the two cube roots. So, 4 times 5 is 20. M times n is mn. So, we have 20mn. Next step, always positive. Tandaan na, laging positive yung huli. Then, this time, we get the square of 5n naman. The square of 5 is 25. The square of n is n squared. And this is our factor. So, 64m cubed minus 125n squared is the same as 4m minus 5n times 16m squared plus 20mn plus 25n squared. I hope na gets another example. Factor 27a to the 6 minus 1,000. So, unang step, you get the cube root of the first term. So, the cube root of 27 is 3. And the cube root of a to the 6th is a squared. Bakit a squared? Divide the exponent by 3. Kaya a2. Next, you copy the operation minus. And then you get the cube root of the second term. The cube root of 1,000 is 10. Next step, you get the other factor. So, unang step, pag kinukuha yung other factor, you get the square of the first term. The square of 3 is 9. The square of a squared is a to the 4th. Remember, when we're getting the square, you multiply the exponent by 2. After getting that, you proceed with the operation. Always opposite ng operation natin. Kung ito ay minus, ang gagamitin ko ay plus. And then you multiply the two numbers. 3 times 10 is 30 times a squared. That's 30a squared. And then for the last term, that is always positive. Always positive. And then you get the square of the second term naman. The square of 10 is 100. So that is our second factor. So, we can now say that 27a to the 6 minus 1,000 is equal to 3a squared minus 10 times 9a to the 4th plus 30a squared plus 100. Okay? Let's have the third example. Factor 8x to the 9th plus 64y to the 12th. So, the very first step is to get the cube root of the first term. So, the cube root of 8 is 2. And the cube root of x to the 9th, you divide the exponent by 3, so that is x cubed. Next, copy the operation. This is positive, so this is also plus. And then you get the cube root of the second term. The cube root of 64 is 4. The cube root of y to the 12 is y to the 4th. Kasi we divide the exponent by 3. So that is 4y to the 4th. And then, after that, you get the other factor. So the square of 2x cubed. The square of 2 is 4. The square of x cubed, you multiply the exponent by 2, so x to the 6th. And then, next is get the opposite sign. Kung positive to, kung plus to, ang gagamitin ko ay minus. Then, we multiply the two of them. 2 times 4 is 8. And then you copy x cubed and y to the 4th. Then, for the third term, it's always positive. And then, this time, you get the square of the second term. The second term is 4. So, the square of 4 is 16. And the square of y to the 4th is y to the 8th. So, this is our factor. But take note, if you will be considering this one, meron pa tong other factor pa kasi meron pa tayong common monomial factor. So, originally, if you're going to do like this, you get the common monomial factor first of this one. Saka mo siya kunin ang cube. Pinakita ko lang muna using the process of getting the cube. Alright, for our fourth example, if we have a cube plus 27b to the 6th. So, you get the cube root of a cube. So, that is a. Copy the operation plus, and you get the cube root of 27b to the 6th. So, that is 3b squared. And then, get the other factor. So, the square of a is a squared. You get the opposite operation, minus. You multiply the two of them, we have 3ab squared. Always positive. Then, the square of the second term. So, 3 squared is 9, and b squared is b to the 4th. So, this is our factor. Next, fifth example. Factor c to the 15th minus 125. So, we get the cube root of c to the 15th. We simply divide the exponent by 3. So, that is c raised to 5. Then, copy the operation minus. Then, the cube root of 125 is 5. Now, for the other factor, c to the 5th squared. So, that's c to the 10th. Opposite operation. So, we have positive. And then multiply, or plus rather, multiply 5 and c to the 5th. So, 5c to the 5th. And then always positive or always plus. And then you get the square of 5, which is 25. So, that is our factor. Gets mo ba? I hope naintindihan ng lesson. And with that, thank you so much and bye-bye!